Hello, you glorious assholes. Yes, you glorious assholes. This podcast, I've been having a hard time finding ways forward, but I also have been writing a book, and my book is not getting written. So I was trying to think about ways that I can keep my book moving forward and also continue this podcast moving forward, because the two of them have kind of stalled out for multiple reasons. One, for writing my book, man, I just don't have time. But for this podcast, I just haven't known what I wanted to talk about. And the one thing that I want to talk about is what I've been writing my book about, but I didn't necessarily figure out how to put it into my podcast, because with a podcast, you're normally interviewing people and talking to people about different topics. And, I just did some project managers who were awesome people and had some great information, but I've been writing a book. And it's called How to Not Be an Asshole. And I'm about 5 chapters in. And it specifically focuses on how to not be an asshole. And I think it's a great freaking topic. I think it's a wonderful topic because we are surrounded by assholes. Everywhere you go, there are people out there that pretty much turn the assholery up to level 10, if not higher. And it really makes life challenging. When I go through my day and I try to hold on to my little moments of zen, and then I get some dude who cuts in front of me in traffic while texting. Yesterday, I was driving through a tunnel on my motorcycle, and the guy in front of me was texting, swerving, and trying to eat food at the same time. So I rolled up next to him, and I was like, brother, put your phone down, you glorious asshole. And it didn't go over so well because, the way I said it was a bit strong. So what can we do? Well, you know what? In this book, I'm going to be focusing on different ways to not just not be an asshole, but to be a genuinely good human being, to be someone that everyone wants to be around. I'm trying to raise Ailani to be a great person. My daughter, I am doing everything I can, getting her extra classes, trying to send her to a good school. But I don't know what's going to be taught to her outside of the hours that I'm with her. But I can try to focus on one thing, to raise a child who is specifically not an asshole. If I can do that, I'm headed in the right direction as a parent. And that's one of the reasons that I want to put this out in the world and to put this content out in the world, because we have so many people who are talking about how to be successful, how to be better at your job, how to be the greatest version of you. But I've met some of these great people. I've met some of these people who were the best version of themselves, and they were a dick. They were just a raging asshole. So there's got to be something more that we need to be doing. And that's, again, where I'm coming at with this book. How to not be an asshole. Now, we're diving into chapter number 5. Now, chapter number 5 is this. Words matter, baby. Now, what does that mean? All right. I've been a teacher for a long time. Now, imagine that I have 2 students sitting in front of me. And as much as I would love to say that I love every single child that I've ever taught, man, I hate some. And it sucks. It sucks to say that there are children that you don't necessarily like. But there are kids that even at the age of 8 or 9, you can look at them and go, this child right here is going to end up being an asshole. Just grade A, quality asshole. But it's up to me to work with them on not being one. And there's certain ways that I can talk to a child that can make things better or that can make things worse. Let's imagine said child in front of me. For example's sake, we're going to call him Evan. I don't know many Evans. I know one Evan, and he's generally a nice guy, but this Evan's an asshole. So I look down at Evan and I say, hey, Evan, how you doing today? I didn't finish my homework, Teacher Sean. Well, that sucks for you, you little asshole. You know what? You're pretty stupid. And if you keep up this stuff, you're not going to get a great job, and your life is going to suck. As much as I would love to say that, as much as it would feel wonderful inside to say that, it ain't going to help Evan. Evan's going to feel beaten down, and Evan's going to feel just really distraught and doesn't know what to do with that. And honest to God, Evan doesn't know how to process that. Most people don't know how to process that. I mean, we've all had that job. We've all had that boss, that person who just cannot communicate. And they can't communicate because they don't know how to put the words together in a way that is something that we can be receptive to. I had one coach when I was younger, and the coach did not understand the words. The words were not easy for the coach. And coach just generally berated us as players. We weren't called assholes, but it was pretty bad. And there was zero motivation coming from all of the people on the team. You know, no one wanted to work hard for this person because they had no idea how to communicate. We had a second coach come in, an assistant coach come in midway through the season who knew about communication, who understood that a kind word goes much farther than something much more negative. And you know what? Everyone started stepping up. And that doesn't mean that there wasn't tough love. Sometimes this guy would shoot really straight and say, you know what? What you're doing right now ain't cutting it. And you're letting the team down. But he didn't call us an asshole. He didn't say, you know what? I don't know why your mother created such an idiot who doesn't really deserve to take a breath on this planet. He might have felt that, but he didn't say it. And that's part of the win right there, is not saying it. It's thinking it, because goodness knows you're going to think it. It's going to be in there. That thought, it's going to percolate. But you got to find ways to not say it. Now, words have power. You got to choose them wisely. Here are some examples of communication. And this is an example of bad communication and its impact. Let's imagine that you're going out to see a friend. And you go and you want to bare your soul to your friend. And let's imagine how that conversation is going to go. Yeah, that's about it. Those are my inadequacies. Me? Holy shit. That is a lot to process. I didn't know how much of a real piece of shit you are. I mean, who does that? I mean, they were puppies, for goodness sake. Who does that to puppies? You really suck. You know that, right? You? But it was an accident. I didn't know what would happen if you crossed a corgi and a pit bull. I was just curious. Me? No, you're an asshole. Now, look at that little monstrosity that you created. The camera pans to the abomination that is a pit bull corgi cross. You? I am so sorry. Me? Don't apologize to me, asshole. You despicable piece of human excrement. You apologize to it. That thing right there. And at that moment, the freakish pit bull corgi fights to lift its massive head to look up at you with its tiny body. It whimpers in self-pity. Now, how do you think you're going to feel about that situation? Probably not very good. Why not? Because words matter, and I did not choose the best of them. And my words, though well-intentioned, probably didn't leave you feeling good about letting your sweet corgi romp with the neighbor's pit bull. Now let's imagine that same conversation, but with a little twist. You. So yeah, that's about it. Those are my inadequacies. Me, still in shock, but processing for a moment. Wow. I'm not going to lie. This is a bit much to process. But I'm sure it was an accident. We all make mistakes. It's okay. You're still a good person. You just have a little something to work on. You? I'm so sorry. I should have never let my sweet little corgi romp with the neighbor's pit bull. I pan and look at the freakish little monstrosity, but this time I simply smile and hold back my shock. Me? Well, it was a mistake, but now you can make it right by making sure this sweet little angel always has a great home. That's all you do. You pulling that giant head in to hug it more closely with its tiny little body. I will always love you, little one. Me? Yes, you will. We all embrace more closely, and the little puppy and you feel awesome about life. Now, I know this is a very strange yet fun example, but if you're being berated for some mistake that you made, and we all make mistakes, and the language that the person uses to correct you is hurtful, and it leaves you feeling like dirt, It's demoralizing and counterproductive. And we've all been there. We've all had that person who gave us feedback, and it did not feel good because the way they said it was not positive. You know what you did again? Tommy, you are always. Bob, one more time? You know, it doesn't feel good to feel attacked. But there is more. Let's imagine that you are giving a presentation at work. Your name is Bob. And Bob, you are trying to be funny. And you're throwing in some comedy into this presentation at work. And your worker is not feeling it. Your coworker is not feeling it. You know, they're sitting there just looking at this presentation going, yeah, that was rough. You finish up, you sit there and you recognize that you made mistakes, and you go to your coworker friend for feedback. And they turn to you and say, man, that was so boring, the damn coffee machine went to sleep. Maybe that would be funny. Maybe everyone in the office would laugh. But the damage is done. You feel awful. Now, if they're trying to use comedy to lighten the situation, that is different. But if they're genuinely insulting you or using language that doesn't feel good, it's really tough. And we all do this at times. I remember giving my daughter feedback once, and she did something and I was tired. And being tired is always a dangerous thing when you're giving feedback. And Ilani came to me and said, Daddy, or no, she didn't come to me. Ilani did something and I kind of snapped. And Ilani, I said, that's a stupid thing to do. And I was not calling her stupid, but I used that word. And then days later, she did something and I said, Ilani, don't do that. And she says, and I could hear her talk to herself, I know I'm stupid. And I looked up and I realized that was a seed that I planted. And it was something that I needed to rectify. I had been an asshole and I needed to fix that. And I pulled her aside and I said, Ilani, no. You are a very smart person. You are very smart, but we are smart or stupid depending upon our choices. And the choice you made was not the best. I shouldn't have used the word stupid, but it was not the smartest thing that you could have done. And she sat there and thought about it. And she says, and I said, you know what? Imagine someone running with scissors. And I can look at them and I say, hey, you stupid asshole, stop running with scissors. Well, they're not stupid, but the action kind of was dumb. Running with sharp scissors is probably not the smartest thing you can do, but the way you use your words can make a big difference. So maybe instead of, hey, you stupid asshole, stop texting in the middle of this effing tunnel, I can sit there and turn to the guy and say, hey, buddy, maybe you should put your phone down. This is a little dangerous. Or maybe just give your horn a toot a couple times. Use that as a way to say, hey, stop being an asshole. Now, why is good communication so important? Because it's all about building trust and respect. Now, clear and respectful communication is essential. It's like the secret sauce in your favorite burger. It just makes everything better. You know, I remember the first time I had an In-N-Out burger with its, was it animal style? I haven't had one in forever. And I don't eat these burgers anymore. But I remember the first time that I had that secret sauce put on there. And it was just like magic in my mouth. I took a bite and I turned and looked at my friend, and my friend turned and looked at me and he said, oh yes, my friend. Oh yes. And I ate that burger in this place of zen. It was magical. That food lit up every last taste bud that I had, and some that I did not know I had. Now, we all have experienced that, where you've been in a stressful situation and a person came along, or maybe you were the person who turned a stressful situation into a learning one, into a collaborative one. Maybe it was a coach or a friend who came along with the right words. Maybe you turned to someone and looked at them and said, hey, I know you had a failure with your last presentation. I know it didn't go well, but you know what? One failure doesn't mean anything. One failure is simply a starting point to getting better. And by helping you with clear and great communication reframe things, that person turns from being an enemy into your greatest advocate. Or it turns you from being a raging asshole into a person's own superhero. Person that comes along and turns around their day and makes them feel like maybe this world isn't such a tough place. Because when I drive to and from dropping my daughter off at school or to and from work, I kind of think the world is full of assholes. But when I have one person come up to me and say, "Hey, Sean, I hope you have a beautiful day," or "Daddy, I really appreciate you," or what my daughter did last night, where she walked up to me and said, "Daddy, you're the best daddy." And I said, "Well, Ilani, what did I do?" And she says, "It's not what little thing you did, it's for everything you do." Man, that made me feel good. And it helped me realize that even though I have those moments where I am an asshole, maybe I'm making them fewer than the moments where I'm not. And that's important. Good communication also helps us resolve conflicts. Think of communication as your superhero cape in conflict resolution. It can transform an argument into a collaboration. Now, with that guy in the tunnel, we did have a bit of a shouting exchange, but then I found a way to win him over. I pointed at the kids around us when we got to the red light, and I said, "There are children there, there are children there, there are children there. We are both adults. We must protect these kids around us. If you're texting on your phone or I'm texting on my phone, I cannot see the road. And maybe I can put one of these families in danger." And the man stopped. He was still angry at me, but he nodded his head yes, and he drove off. It's about what you say. It's about how you say it. I could have gone about that situation differently, and I will try to next time. But if you can find a situation where you can listen and use kind words, it can de-escalate the tension. I remember one time I had a student that was having a tough time. They were having a personal crisis and they were stressed out. And I remember raising my voice at this kid and said, "You got to do this. You need to do not do this." I believe they had kicked another student and I was angry. But then finally I calmed down and I separated the kids and I got the student into a space where I looked at them and I recognized their core fear their core emotion at that moment was fear. And that fear was not helping the situation. And I sat there and I looked at them and I said, "Hey, buddy, you're okay. No one's going to spank you. No one's going to hit you. We're just going to have a conversation. Now, would you like it if Tommy had have kicked you?" "No, I wouldn't have liked it if Tommy kicked me." "Would it feel good if someone else came up and hit you or punched you in this class?" "No, that would make me upset." "Well, how do you feel doing it to other people?" "Well, he he upset me." "Well, yeah, you upset other people sometimes too." And we talked through it. And after a couple minutes, the student was more than ready to walk over and apologize. And that person actually became their best friend. And it was interesting because they had a legitimate concern. There was actually a reason that this kid kicked the other kid. I hadn't seen that. But we worked through it and we worked on how to not be an asshole. And it made their conflicts easily resolved. And hopefully, those lessons will stay with those kids as they get into larger problems. We have a whole world where everyone is at each other's throat. We have countries that are engaging in wars. We have people who are ready at the drop of a hat to throw down and just throw fists. But if we can teach people to be more communicative, this is a great win. Now, another thing that is really important about good communication is that it creates positive relationships. When words uplift, they create bonds like a VIP lounge experience. Everyone feels heard and valued. Now, have you ever been in a VIP lounge where everyone comes up and these people are just making you feel good? I mean, you get the free slippers. You get that first class experience. You get all of the little amenities. It feels good. It feels positive. You feel valued. I remember once where I was flying across the Pacific Ocean, flying from Japan to the US. And I got there for my flight. And you know what? They had sold my seat. And they were super apologetic. But I was like, you know what? I've got people waiting to pick me up at the airport in San Francisco. And I'm pissed. I started getting angry. And you know what they did? They said, we are so sorry we sold your seat, but we're going to bump you up to first class. So I got to fly first class from Tokyo to San Francisco. And let me tell you this, first class on a trans-Pacific flight is what we're talking about. They had all of the amenities. No tiny cramped little seat that I got shoved into. No, this thing reclined out into a bed. I had custom everything. I got gifts, sushi on demand, cocktails, anything you wanted, it was there. And do you know what happened? Since then, I have always loved flying JAL because I remember that one time that I was taken care of, that I was given all of the perks. And I will continue to fly with that airline because I know they appreciate me. They appreciate people. Every single customer for that airline is important. And that relationship was built with a single act. One worker choosing to, instead of bumping me off of the flight, to giving me a better experience, to focus on building a relationship and the way it was said. There was no anger. There was only apology. There was only great communication, and it made an impact. Now, in my own life, I've had people that uplifted me, who spoke to me in ways that there was no asshole in them, that was 100% positive. And those relationships have lasted to this day. Now, what are some ways that we can improve communication and make our words better? Well, number one, we can focus on active listening. Now, when you are active listening, one of the first steps you want to do is maintain eye contact. This is something that we're not so good at nowadays because so many of us are glued to our device. Put your phone down and really take in what that person's trying to tell you. Nod occasionally and paraphrase back to the person what they were trying to say. This is a technique that I heard that the FBI uses in hostage negotiation. You repeat back the last 3 words and you kind of paraphrase it back. So if I say, you kind of paraphrase it back, you could say, you paraphrase it back. And I say, yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening. Number 2, speak kindly. Now, it's not about sugarcoating, but finding the right way to express the tough stuff. Like that coach that I had when I was younger, who still would give us tough love. It was the way he said it. Hey, you missed that defensive play. You know what? If you want to play in the game, you need to have better defense. Otherwise, we're going to pull you out and put a different player in. So I recognized that I needed to improve. But the way he said it was productive. It was positive. Instead of, hey, you stupid asshole, you messed up that play and now we're losing. One more time and you're getting pulled out. Wow, not making me feel so good. I feel threatened and I don't give my best work. But instead, if that coach said, Sean, I believe in you. I'm going to give you a chance to fix your mistake. But if you make that mistake again, we're going to have to do what's best for the team. I'm going to feel motivated to step up and to be better in everything. And that good, clear communication could be in your marriage. It could be in your work. It could be in your parenting. Wherever it is, focus on speaking kindly. Number 3, being mindful of body language. Now, smiling, open gestures, and leaning in slightly make all the difference. These things go a long way. Show these people that you are focused on them and that the words you use that when you do that are matching that openness. Hey, I appreciate you. Don't have your arms crossed and lean back, but lean in and let them see that you really do appreciate them. I am open to your success. Well, show them that you can actually be open to their success with the way you're moving your body. Now, there was a great Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. The guy's got everything. And this guy goes about online complimenting people. So that is going to be our fun activity for this chapter, the compliment challenge. Now, this week, I want you to compliment 5 people each day for the week. And then I want you to reflect on how it feels to uplift other people. Now, here are some ways to do it. Number 1, the stealth compliment. Slip in a compliment casually like a secret agent. Drop a quick, hey, nice problem solving back there as you walk past. Keep it cool like James Bond. Hey, nice hat. Go up to random strangers and slip that in there like you're James Bond. You're in, you're out. No one knew you were there. Number 2, compliment the effort. They show that kids that are praised for their effort are more successful than children that are praised for being smart. Compliment that effort. It works for adults too. Acknowledge the hard work. Something like, I see how much effort you put into that project. That dedication is inspiring. Now, this shows that you notice the grind, not just the finish line. Now, celebrate the quirks. Number 3, compliment something unique to them. Dude, your playlist choices are legendary. You've got the best taste in music. Now, this one requires recognizing what's special about this person. You got to pay some attention. And then once you know a little bit about that person, you can give a shout out to their individuality. Number 4, compliment an action in progress. Catch someone in the act and give instant praise. Man, you're always the first to step up when somebody needs help. That's pretty awesome. Now, instant recognition hits differently. When you're in the process of doing something, it's like Pavlov's dogs. It reinforces that good behavior while it's unfolding. And that is powerful. Number 5, give a throwback comment. Mention a quality you admired in the past. Hey, buddy, you were always the best coach back in the day. Thanks for that. It means a lot. When that positive feedback you gave me in high school when you were my coach, it still sticks with me today. Now, this is awesome because it's a double compliment. Then and now. You're reinforcing how awesome they were back then and the effects of it in this present moment. And that is powerful. Number 6, the positivity ambush. Walk into a room and announce, hey, I just wanted to say you are all crushing it today. It's a verbal high five that leaves everyone feeling seen. And how much better can you get than that? And number 7, the pay it forward compliment. End a compliment with a challenge. You've got great energy. You know what? You should pass that positivity to someone else today. Make it contagious and see what happens. Now, if you can do some of these things, you can make your life and the lives of people around you much better today. And most of all, you'll be a hell of a lot less of an asshole if you do so. Words matter, baby. See you next time.